欢迎继续回到我们2019炉石战绩 HCT 世界总冠军决赛第一天赛程的现场，我是今天主持人安娜丽。Welcome back to 2019 HCT World Championship. I am the host of the day, 安娜丽。那刚刚呢，我们已经看到了我们的小组赛呢形成告一个段落了。那接下来呢，要进行到的呢，是我们要决定 A 组谁要前进8强的比赛。而这2位选手呢，分别是我们的 Bunnyhoppor 以及 SNJing。那拥有 IQ 199的 Bunnyhoppor 呢，算是我们这一次呢冠军人选的大热门，但是呢 SNJing 也不是省油的灯，所以究竟呢谁可以获得晋级呢？稍后呢我们就会看到精彩的比赛啦。Next match is the 5th match of today, and the match will be Bunnyhoppor versus SNJing. Okay, gentlemen, please shake hands with each other. 不好意思，我们到中间，握个手好吗？好的，欢迎2位。Please take a seat.
I think under pressure or in the spotlight, I was a little bit less nervous the past few times than my opponents were, so that gave me a slight edge. But I think now at the World Championship, it's going to look a little bit different because pretty much everybody here is somewhat seasoned veteran. They don't get as nervous under pressure. But the biggest sacrifice was really that every time I went to a tournament, I had to apply that you need to take personal holidays, and then I would take the holidays to go to a Hearthstone event. But if you ever competed at a Hearthstone event, you know that has nothing to do with holidays. You're actually practicing probably more hours than I don't know, you do media and then you practice, and you basically spend like 16 hours on Hearthstone every day, which is not your regular work day, right? So I hadn't taken holidays for pretty much 3.5 years, and that can become kind of stressful actually. Having an expansion so close to the tournament is going to make it really interesting for people to see who had been able to come up with good decks in this little amount of time. The matchups are going to be tough. The opponents are better than what I've faced before. I think my lineup is not... I think in the previous 2 championships I had a lineup which was favorite throughout the tournament. I don't feel that way now. As stupid as it sounds, but I'm just mostly going day by day or matchup by matchup, and not... I don't want to look at all the deck lists and figure out if I'm well matched or badly matched. I'll figure that out when the possibility arrives that I face these people, and then I'll look at the decks more in depth and I'll look at my percentages, but nothing that helps me overthink stuff is good for me now. Yeah, so if I win, I think the first thing I'll do is I'll probably pay the mortgage on my mom's house. I mean, thanks for voting for me. Thanks for, I'll hope to deliver as many packs as possible, and thanks for tuning in and all your support.
我觉得这次比赛的话，确实离新版本就是上线特别近嘛。然后，除了我以外，就是大家每一个选手，在备牌这个阶段都是可能会比较匆忙。我觉得自己既然都提交的卡组，当然是非常有信心的。就是我不会去在乎一些，网络上的一些预测或者舆论。我当然相信自己的。 练习象棋的那段经历，我觉得对自己最大的帮助就还是在心态上。然后，虽然炉石是一个有概率和运气的游戏，但是，我把自己主观上还是做的比较严谨的。话又说回来，我觉得就是我不管是参加就是比较高规模的赛事，还是比较小的赛事，可能我的心态都是一样的。我不会说因为，我参加的是 世界总决赛我就会紧张，我也不会说我参加的是一个比较小规模比赛我就会这种大意。就是除了我以外，和我一起来的国服的2名选手，像小 T 和月影，也是我就是最喜欢的2名中国选手。然后因为我觉得他们对炉石的热爱是非常纯粹的，而且也非常的努力，也具备足够的天赋，所以我觉得我们3个人都有很大的机会去冲击冠军。 冬季赛肯定不是我职业道路上的最高点，也不是我的终点。我一定会继续努力，然后对得起 那些喜欢我的人也对得住自己吧，我觉得更重要的是。
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the HCT World Championship. I'm TJ, joined by the Admiral. That's Admirable.
Yep.
We're going to get into the winner's match for Group A. It's Bunnyhoppor versus SNJing. Winner of this match does move on to the quarterfinals.
You gotta love that. Just locking it up nice and solid. 1 day of play. You're done until Saturday, I believe.
Sunday.
Sunday, even better.
You got 2 days off.
2 days off.
What are you going to do?
What are you gonna do?
I don't even know.
I don't think anybody knows.
Nobody knows. Let's take a look at the lineups for SNJing and Bunnyhoppor. Mid-range Hunter banned away from Bunnyhoppor. I feel like the story so far today has been mid-range Hunter struggling, but SNJing banning it away, and he has his own tempo rogue banned away. So pretty expected ban from Bunnyhoppor's side, but SNJing coming at us with something weird.
I am a little bit surprised by the Hunter ban, considering that he has Zoo, that he has a Token Druid deck, and that he's got Bomb Warrior in the mix of those. I feel like all three of those decks have the possibility to perform against mid-range Hunter quite well. We saw Killen able to take one of those mid-range Hunter games because he was playing Bomb Warrior. Now, that being said, the iteration for SNJing is quite different. It's not as aggressively tuned. There's not the Sephorium Bombers in there at the 5 slot, so it's hard to just have like a mid-game pressure unit outside of the Darius Crowley that he has. But overall, I feel like Hunter's going to do worse against SNJing's lineup than Warlock will do on average. And I'm just looking at it from a top-down perspective, but you know, one of the reasons that he may not have banned Bunnyhoppor's Warlock deck is because it includes an Archthief Rafaam in it. You know, we've heard this card talked about at length as just not getting the case done. And when we asked Bunnyhoppor about it in his interview, he said something to the degree of, if it wins 1 out of every 10 games that I play, then it's done its job this tournament. And Sato countered and asked him, well, what if it loses you one of those games? And Bunnyhoppor, well, you know.
Well, it's kind of similar to what we talked about earlier with Killing All Day and Bomb Warrior versus Control. He thinks in the matchups where he's going to do well, it doesn't matter if he has Archvillain or Rafaam or not. In the matchups that he's not going to do well, he gains a few percentage points by including that in his deck and is able to go with that late game value. So that's where it comes into play. I do agree with Sato that in a nutshell, if you're just looking at the decks with no context, I do like the version that's more lean, that doesn't run the Rafaam, that runs Soulfires. I think that's overall a better Zoo Warlock deck.
Yes.
But when you're looking at it from the perspective of a Conquest deck, I think that Bunnyhoppor's reasoning is adequate. It's not fantastic. It's not even above average. It's adequate.
I'm not going to compound on this issue much longer. Long story short, I very disagree. I think it's quite not good.
I'm completely indifferent.
And I'm going to talk about the lists in particular because we are in a Warlock Zoom mirror matchup, and there's some very important things to note. Number one, SNJing has 2 copies of Sea Giant in the deck. Bunnyhoppor has 0 copies of Sea Giant in the deck.
Yeah, he's dead.
SNJing has no copies of Soulfire in the deck. Bunnyhoppor has 2 copies of Soulfire in the deck. And when it comes to 1-drops, Bunnyhoppor has packed a little bit extra. He's also got 2 copies of Witchwood Imp. To just have a thing that helps trade on board, and right away draws Archvillain Rafaam in the opening hand. So immediately the question must be asked, what if it loses you 1 out of every 10 games?
Yes, and I feel like his lineup, even if you substitute Archvillain Rafaam for any other card, he loses this mirror matchup on paper.
I definitely agree. The Sea Giants are just a colossal measure of counterattack that SNJing has during the deck building process.
Yeah.
When you're playing a mirror match where so many minions can get onto board very quickly, and when one player is dominant, what that means is the other player has to have something drastic to come back. Sea Giant is a lot of times a card that can get that job done. And so the real big thing to note is that even though Bunnyhoppor, I think, has the unfavored deck on paper, he does have the luxury of going first in the game. And that oftentimes is such a big measure when it comes to dictating the pace. It means that he's going to get to trade first. It means at the end of the game, he gets the extra turns of attacks if maybe he can deliver a lethal blow. But things from there can get quite ugly. I mean, just seeing SNJing's hand right here with the double Scarab Egg, the Evil Genius, and the Microtech controller. So many minions are going to be available for SNJinger.
Yeah, I mean, it's just tough looking at these lineups side by side. And Jing also has minions that would kind of play into his opponent being able to play Sea Giant too with that Microtech controller. But you may just look at these early hands. Jing is going to be able to activate this Evil Genius onto the Scarab. And Bunnyhoppor just doesn't have much follow-up. Unless he picks up something to play in the next turn, this Knife Juggler is not going to get the value that it's used to getting.
Now, that being said, Jing can't see Bunnyhoppor's hand. Those two legendaries that Bunnyhoppor has could very easily just be cheap, effective minions right now. So Jing has to respect that Knife Juggler in some regard. If you go with Evil Genius here, what that means is you've lined up a board of 1 health minions and a 2-2 versus your opponent's 3-2 and Knife Juggler. Your entire board could get picked off very easily, and your follow-up is a Magic Carpet, in which case Bunnyhoppor will have developed to get that job done. So I think Jing in this spot really has to consider a second Scarab Egg and how he gets the job done afterwards. Now Bunnyhoppor is tasked with, if he wants to take care of those 1-1s, he has to trade first and then hope the juggles go right. This gives Jing an opportunity to get Microtech Controller, to perhaps live with extra minions and land a Sea Giant, or even to have Magic Carpet to just be a threat on board.
Yeah. And so if I'm in Bunnyhopper's position, if Jing's willing to take it slow, I'm probably also willing to take it a little bit slower. Because going wide on the board is a liability because the juggles could hit the Scarab Eggs and give Jing that big power turn. Maybe just tap, play a Voidwalker here, try and load up 1-drops for the juggles post Scarab Egg poppage.
Now, mind you, if that's going to be the game plan, what that means is that Bunnyhoppor has to kind of open his nose a little bit here to like an opposing Knife Juggler in a Grim Rally, or just to Jing being able to jam out a minion and have too much stuff on board at that point. He's going to go with tap, which to me very much spells a Voidwalker this turn.
Almost out of time.
And I actually don't think Bunnyhoppor can trade in this circumstance if he's going to be doing that.
Yeah, you just ship it to face, Voidwalker, and then try and evaluate next turn. Hope that the Knife Juggler can carry you to victory.
Wow, that's not good. That is not the result Bunnyhoppor wanted. And that was a 40% chance to happen if he made that trade. And being the slow and methodical player that Bunnyhoppor is, he will take his maximum time at about every given opportunity.
I wonder.
Jing considering using the Evil Genius here as well. I'm quite surprised by that even.
I think it's good. 1, it activates Sea Giant. 2, it gives
Does that activate Sea Giant? Oh my, forgive me. I was miscounting the minions on board. That is ridiculously good.
Yeah, and he also had the opportunity to, I think Sea Giant is far and away the best play.
So Jing, his body language to me spells out that he thought he could make a trade, play a Lackey and then play Sea Giant.
I don't think that matters.
But I think that's what he had planned on, because now he's just slowed down so dramatically, and the way he shifted in his chair was like a point of realization, where he just thought he could get an extra minion in play. And if that's the case, that definitely changes, the way that you feel about the turn. But it's pretty clearly Sea Giant.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Bunnyhoppor's body language, meanwhile, tells you about everything you need to know about the position.
Yeah. Imagine if you could follow this turn from Jing with a couple of Sea Giants of your own.
Well, here we go. That's a pretty reasonable way to start cutting into the Sea Giant. You're offered Abusive Sergeant on the Flame Imp for 5 points of damage. The problem is Bunnyhoppor's hand is just Leroy and Archvillain Rafam. Like, these are the 2 least valuable cards in the matchup.
So this is the turn where he has to decide on a game plan. Do you keep fighting for board, or do you literally ignore everything and ship it to face, hoping that you get Leroy Soulfire to end the game?
Peculiar Abusive Sergeant target.
So if he Argent Squires and Grim Rallies, he pushes 11.
Given the buff, I'm guessing that's what his plan is. Like, why else would you buff the Voidwalker instead of the Flame Imp in this situation? If anything else, I would buff the Flame Imp just for the sake of having more options.
The light protects me.
I think now he's got a Grim Rally. And now I think you have to ship it face. Curious. That is a lot of damage poured into
I don't know,
killing
Kev.
1/1s. Yeah, I don't know, Kev. That is, I'm very suspicious.
Okay, so let's count. He would have pushed 11 to face, which would have brought Jing down to 15. He still would have had a board that Jing would have had to clear through, which would have been quite easy with the board that he had. Is there ever a world where you win from that position?
Well, you would have an Argent Squire with a Divine Shield. Your opponent would be at 14 or 15.
The break point for you would be 10 damage because Leroy Soulfire is...
Yeah, and you have a Soulfire. You have 2 copies of Soulfire in your deck.
Yes, but Leroy plus double Soulfire is much less likely for you to ever pick up or for you to ever be able to do if you're emptying your hand each turn just to survive.
Yeah.
So you would have had to reasonably find 5 more points of damage.
Where do you deal any damage from here for the rest of the game? And how do you live long enough for any of this to matter? Like, now you've lost your whole board and you dealt 0 damage.
Yeah, that was my argument. I'm trying to count just for the sake of tying up the loose ends.
I'm going to go without a no, Kev.
Yeah. I'm shipping that damage face every time and just saying, I hope I stick 1 point of damage or my opponent life taps into range, and my next 2 draws are Soulfire, Soulfire.
I believe it was one of the great philosophers at our time. They said, YOLO.
YOLO!
Doing the shuffle and everything. I wish they could see that. Because you have to go with this Leroy anyway to now trade, so you've lost all lethal potential, you have no kill on a Magic Carpet, you have less cards than your opponent, and Jing now has initiative. You have an almost 0% chance to win from this spot.
He's on the Archvillain Reform plan.
Just 2 more turns and then more turns after that. I think this was a mistake from Bunnyhoppor. Quite a rare one at that. I mean, I think about this year for Bunnyhoppor. He had 2 championship appearances, made it to the finals of both of them, won one of them. His overall HCT record, 49-32.
And if you exclude the LAN events and qualifiers that he played in, his playoffs and championship win rate was over 80%. He was 30-7 in playoffs and championships. That's kind of really where it counts. He's only lost 7 matches in all of HCT throughout 2018. Yeah, and you can move that up to 31-7 because he won his first match of the World Championship.
And he's not a player that's had, any shortage of camera time. And in all my time watching Bunnyhoppor, I don't think that I've really seen him make things that I would consider philosophically incorrect plays, like fundamental. And this is the first one.
Time to get more juice for the Reform.
Reform juice.
The worst kind of juice.
It's really bad.
Yeah.
It tastes like grapefruit.
It tastes like grapefruit, and oftentimes whoever gives you the juice kills you before you're ever able to drink it.
Yeah. By the way, it costs like $8 a bottle.
Yeah.
If you're paying $8 for grapefruit, you are getting scammed in so many possible ways.
But it's organic.
Touché.
Put this apple on your head.
Grapefruit, Juggler. We just talked about this. Wow, okay. I mean, it's just insult to injury at that point. The Jugglers are like, hey, here's one to face. Scarabag looks over. It's like, what are you doing?
I don't think Scarabag has the ability to look.
That's what you think. Just wait till Abusive Sergeant shows up.
Yeah, that's a little bit weird to me.
The arms just crack out of the egg and it starts swiping.
Abusive Sergeant comes in, get to work. He's like, but I'm an egg.
That was the sound of arms breaking from the egg and then swiping at someone.
I'm just picking Beta Dune and jamming it.
Why not? The only disaster scenario I could think about wasn't even in the format. It was the Apothecary that like deals you 5 when you summon a minion.
Oh, yeah. The Apothecary Imp or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. I don't remember what it's called. 3-mana 5/5 deals you 5 damage whenever you summon a minion.
Or Wrathguard against Warrior. Remember those days?
Ooh. Don't get shield slammed.
Everyone has a demon.
possibly the most one-sided Zoo game I've seen in a long time.
What's the name of that card? Void Analyst? Is that what it is?
Yeah. Death Rattle, all demons in your hand game, +1/+1.
Ah, it's got value. It's a Void Walker.
I don't think that's the relevant part.
All right, let's take a
of this
look.
one.
This is why it's in the deck, to see what legendaries you get right before you concede.
It's a cool animation. Lord Godfrey gets picked up.
Doesn't matter.
He is dead, correct? I didn't actually do the math on this. Oh, he's extremely dead. There's a Magic Carpet play. Apologies.
He's incredibly dead. He's more dead than you could ever even imagine. He's deader than dead.
Super dead. Oh, to be hoisted by your own retard. Your own lackeys working against you. Jing up 1 game. Pretty critical mirror match, all things considered. However, I think looking at the deck lists, not unexpected. I think that Jing has a massive advantage given the double Sea Giant versus the no Sea Giant list from Bunnyhoppor, and you can see exactly why it's such a powerful card. It dominated the game early on. Yeah.
Jing now 4-0, I believe, with his 3-0 earlier in the group stage. He's trucking through with a pretty unique lineup, at least compared to the rest of the field. Not unique from a philosophical standpoint because it's an aggro lineup. Jing plays aggro lineups. Aggro lineups traditionally are pretty good.
That being said, I mean, he was the player who basically brought this deck to the last championship.
One-drop Zoo.
I mean, this is what he brought. This is without Magic Carpet. He brought Grim Rally anyway. Didn't work there.
One-drop Zoo, they've been calling that for years.
Yep.
Bunnyhoppor, though, on the back foot. Granted, this is the winner's matchup. So whoever loses this still has an extra chance. But Jing, 1-0 lead in the series. Can he close it out and move on to the quarterfinals? We're going to find out right after this. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the HCT Summer Championship for 2018. I feel like we say this all the time, but it's one of the most stacked field of 16 players that we could ask for. Today, 8 players are getting eliminated, and 4 will join the 4 that we already have in the quarterfinals.
It's my favorite time of the year. Championship spot, the high stakes. Someone wins and someone loses, and that losing is a big spot to be in right now. You're 1 match away from making that top 8 spot. Dream of the World Championships have to come next season if you don't win here today.
Jan's Hansoku, after going through an absolute roller coaster in a series he would have felt very, very good on early on, is going to put the finishing touches on with the Hellfires, and Race's very risky meta read in this tournament is not going to pay out. Perhaps with a different group, we could have seen a different story. That's going to do it. Rugal is going to take the series 3-1 over Dog.
It is! That is just devastating here. He steals the Hadronox that prevents it from ever being in the pool for Blood Trail. All of Bruntos, well, he just concedes.
The quarter-finals.
All these quarterfinal matches are for a spot in the World Championship, and the loser goes home.
A8 is going to beat Xiaoti 3-0 and advance to the semifinals with the berth to the World Championship. You can see the emotions kind of rushing over him. Usually a player that's normally very stoic.
Way more than enough.
Wow. Killing all day with the Lich King is going to find himself taking a 3-0 set over Jinsu and moving on to the top 4 and a spot at the World Championship.
What a performance.
And it looks like Nalgadan, at least visually, has conceded there. Game number 5 is gone over to Viper. But again, it's Europe booking the second of 2 spots in the World Championship so far.
But maybe the burst will outmatch the heal, but there's 2 Shadow Walks in hand. What a game, what a series. Bunnyhoppor from Germany earns a ticket to the semifinals, and he'll be joining us for the World Championships for the Year of the Ring.
The semi-finals.
Mountain Giant comes down, and Killing Day's had a great run. He'll be finding himself in the World Championships later on down the road, but for now, A8, he's got everything in play to make this a victory. He's gonna 3-0 Killing All Day and find himself in the finals, 1 match away from being crowned the summer champion.
And it demands healing from his opponent. Viper has none, and that's it.
Viper gives it up, the ultimate mark of respect, the life tap concession.
Final match!
Control Pre started off really good in the Witchwood expansion, and then people proceeded to kind of make fun of it. A8s use Control Pre to get to the finals. That's going to be a concession. Bunnyhoppor takes game 1 in convincing fashion. Whoa, wait. Doom?
No.
Okay.
They will not die. They will have 1 health, I believe.
Okay, you're right.
No, they
I
fought.
was looking at Doomsayer
There it is.
potentially activating, and A8 picks up the Lord Godfrey. And what a creative way to pop your carnivorous cubes. Oh, that's it. He's not even trying to figure it out at this point. A8 concedes. Bunnyhoppor 1 game away from claiming the Summer Championship. That's it!
We have crowned our Hearthstone Championship Tour Summer Champion, and it is Bunnyhoppor from Germany.
Definitely the best moment of my Hearthstone career. 100%, yes.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the HCT World Championship. Bunnyhoppor versus Jing. Currently on the stage with Jing 1-0 lead. Winning the Zoomir, which was pretty expected given the list that both these players have brought to the tournament. But still got a lot of series left to play. That's admirable.
Oh, yeah. Anytime Bunnyhoppor's there, you definitely have a lot of series left to play in terms of time and duration.
That's correct.
He takes a long time.
He does.
And rightfully so. I mean, there's a lot of decisions to make in most of the games of Hearthstone you're going to play at this level, where one small mistake can cost you everything. Like that one mistake can cost you 1 game, which costs you an entire series, which costs you a tournament. That is the last situation you want to be in when we're talking about a world championship title and $250,000 at stake.
Yeah, it's got to be tough because, you know, we have 4 days of play, but if you look at each individual player, their run can end with 2 matches. It's pretty brutal. Their entire year's worth of work in competitive Hearthstone has been for these few moments that they have on stage.
Yeah.
And now we're going to get into game number 2. It's Bunnyhoppor on the Summoner Mage. And Jing on the Bomb Warrior. So Bomb Warrior, while still I don't think super favored in this matchup, it does have a little bit more game than the standard Control Warrior, I would say.
I'm gonna point out a couple things in here because I will say that I think that Bunnyhoppor definitely has a pretty substantial edge, and perhaps even more so than against a standard Control Warrior list. And one of the major reasons why is that Jing has 0 copies of Omega Devastator in the main deck.
What?
And that is not an unusual choice, I don't think. I just think it's very risky, because if you play against big late game greedy decks, that's really the card that gets the job done. Now, it's not he doesn't have access to it. He's got 2 copies of Omega Assembly and, of course, Dr. Boom, Mad Genius, to be able to discover them later on. But without the Omega Devastator in there, you don't have a natural way to do it heading into turn 10. You have to discover it. And it's not really the first Omega Devastator that is the big impact. It's the second, the third, and perhaps the fourth afterwards. Like, those are situations that can get pretty tough to lose. And against Bunnyhoppor, brawls are super vital for key moments that are in this matchup. And what that means is with just 2 brawls in here and 0 copies of Execute, there are very few ways for Jing to actually go toe-to-toe with Bunnyhoppor if it gets to the late game.
Yeah. Reasonable hand picked up for Jing early on. He does have the Dr. Boom. One thing he's missing is a way to deal with an early big threat. Now, he doesn't have to worry about the absolute nuts hand from Bunnyhoppor, which is the Book of Specters into Mountain Giant on 3, if he's on the coin. But does need to find something to deal with one of those big threats pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And one of the ways to do that is just by putting on your own pressure. And he does have the coin Augmented Elec into the Clockwork Goblin.
I will be curious to see if that's the plan from Jing, because oftentimes when I've tried to play Bomb Warrior aggressively, it goes one of 2 ways. Number 1, it goes brilliantly, and I feel like I played like a genius. Or number 2, it doesn't work at all. And the not work at all right now, I think, is a pretty tough spot to be in, considering that you didn't see Bunnyhoppor use Book of Specters early on, and that you have a Brawl and a Dr. Boom in your hand. So I think the potential to go to late game and win is much greater than it is just if you have like Augmented Elec, the Clockwork Goblin, and then say like Town Crier Militia Commander, Shield Block. Like, you know that you have these very powerful tools. Why not play for their strength right now?
Sure, yeah.
So that's really the question for Jing, because he does have Alec into Clockwork, which is an aggressive start.
Yeah. Doesn't have the trifecta of Coin Alec into Clockwork Goblin into Wrench Caliber. Ooh. Into Sephorium Bomber, because he doesn't even have one of those in his deck.
Yeah. I mean, that is the juice when it comes to this deck, too. I've played a lot of this Bomb Warrior deck, and
how dare you?
When I have it stacked to the brim and I just get that smooth coin 3 into 3, 4, 5 curve, I'm like, woo!
Then you hear a power pass on 6, and then the Blastmaster Boom on 7. Ooh.
What to do?
Blastmaster Boom was actually the regular rare I got from the the regular legendary I got from the pre-order, and I was enjoying the deck, so I just golden. I already have it. I just need this golden one. Why make 6 boom bots if they're not going to be golden? That's the question I asked myself.
Weird flex, but okay.
What to do? What to do?
Is this augmented Alec worth a Frostbolt?
I think it likely. I think
that wasn't a sentence.
I think it likely. It is the subject.
Okay.
The subject is Frostbolt being worth the augmented Alec. I think it likely.
I think it good.
Well, no, that doesn't work. That's not how English works. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe English doesn't work the way that I thought it did either, but it definitely doesn't work the way you thought it would, and that's a fact.
I think it's shield block.
What now?
What's the subject there?
Why use many word when few word do trick?
Words are for morons who can't understand pictures anyway.
Amen, brother.
And that's TJ and I in a nutshell.
What now?
That is, you know, a pretty unrealistic circumstance that happened on Jing's side, as well as the Coin Alec and run into Fire Tree Witch Doctor getting a Frostbolt.
Yeah.
Really unlucky for the coin usage here.
Yeah.
Because now all of Jing's game plans are just fighting a turn from behind.
Yeah.
And the bomb also gets drawn early on.
That's not good.
No, that's the opposite of good. Because even though it's 5 damage, that Jing has almost no way to capitalize on that at this point. All it does is take away from Blastmaster Boom being more powerful, which for every bomb in your opponent's deck, you get 2 extra boom bots. Like, you need them to be there leading into that turn. So the aggression also early on opens you to that possibility as well.
Yeah. And we're getting to take a look at one of the inclusions that goes a little bit against the grain from Bunnyhoppor Summoner Mage, and that's the Arcane Keysmith.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about the Bomb Warrior deck. I do want to talk about Bunnyhoppor's Summoner Mage list here as well. The Arcane Keysmiths, he said he relied mostly on Viper to do the deck building for the Mage list, and Viper said it came up as one of the higher win rate cards in the deck. And kind of looking at it, they also included a copy of Archmage Arugal, the 2-mana 2/2 legendary mage minion that when you draw a minion, you add another copy of it to your hand. I think it makes a lot of sense because in mirror matches, if this is something you anticipate, the Arcane Keysmith oftentimes finds you something like Spellbender to take away your opponent's Conjurer's Calling. In aggressive matchups, you have a 50% chance to get Ice Barrier and have 8 extra health. I think it's just a utility card that offers you something that is pretty unique to the deck.
Yeah, it seems like they built it pretty well for the mirror. Even Archmage Arugal is kind of like a bootleg Book of Specters, because oftentimes the Mage list does not deal with early minions. They don't deal with anything until they play their own minion, because they don't play any removal spells. So if you play that Archmage on turn 2, even though you're not drawing a ton of minions, just putting an extra copy in your hand could get you closer to that Mountain Stride.
It's just funny.
Could make your Twilight Drake stronger. It could make your Ashen Mage stronger.
It's just funny to me that the legendary mage minion that adds additional copies of minions to your hand is the bootleg version of the 2-mana epic spell that does that.
In this specific deck, yes.
Maybe Archmage Arugal's powerful because of the Book of Specters. Without it, he's just a 2/2.
What to do?
Maybe.
Like the Infinity Gauntlet for Thanos.
Whoa, man.
Without that, what?
Spoilers.
Spoiler alert on this 40-year-old storyline. It's older than we are. Possibly combined. I don't actually know what you're
Get out of here.
What to do? What to do?
Just big threat, turn after turn. This is the kind of situation that I think Jing is equipped to handle. It's just minion by minion. I'm looking at a pair of Astromancers that will definitely make a big difference in the game, though. You know, Bunnyhoppor, last time he played against Warrior in his first series against Blood Trail, he tried to force a brawl from Blood Trail's hand with just generic minion pressure, and it wasn't successful. It wasn't until it was too late that Blood Trail ended up expending the brawl on medium-sized minions. There were 0 copies of Astromancer drawn in that game. It does a tremendous job of forcing brawl just because it's so many big things at once.
Yeah, now they likely won't be that big because Bunnyhoppor has just pretty much played a card every turn. So his hand has stayed reasonably small. But 7-drop, 5-drop, or 5-5 plus, on average 5-5 is still really good. If he's going to play the Town Crier here, I'm surprised that he would go for the shield block first. It doesn't make too much of a difference since he still has 3 Rush minions left in his deck with double Militia Commander Darius Crowley.
It's perhaps that Rush minions are actually what Jing wants to draw right now as well. I mean, I'm not going to discount that as a possibility. 2 Militia Commander,
that's true.
Darius Crowley, Ziliax, those are the rushes.
If you want to draw more rushes on average, then you shield block first.
Book of Specters drawn for Bunnyhoppor.
That is good.
That is a major draw to fuel up for your Astromancers. Now, I'm going to mention the disaster scenario of hitting the other 3 spells that are in the deck. That's the only thing that can go wrong for Bunnyhoppor right now.
Well,
wow.
Nothing went wrong.
Yeah, that is the juice.
A big ol' fat nothing. That is the juice.
Spellbender offered as well to perhaps soak up a shield slam later in the game. Splitting Image offered. The Splitting Image is kind of interesting, but I would anticipate Bunnyhoppor's 2-2 getting attacked first.
Jing is likely to have a pretty easy time of checking for Splitting Image going to the next turn with having 2 Rush minions drawn plus the weapon already equipped. Bunnyhoppor knows this. Actually gonna go with Ice Barrier.
Was it Ice Barrier? It was.
Yeah.
So just valuing the long game.
Yeah.
Knowing that this game has the potential to go long.
It does have the potential to go long, but I'm not sure if Bunnyhoppor... Actually, I don't know. It's tough to say if he wins in the long game. Now, Jing, because he's playing the true Bomb Warrior, not the all-in with the Sephorian Bombers, means he doesn't have that kind of late-game fatigue options with Elysiana or any type of way to bounce it. But does have Dr. Boom. A lot of value in the late game. Also, eventually the bombs are going to reach that kind of critical mass in Blastmaster Boom. But Bunnyhopper's saying, I'm not going to be drawing quite as fast as Jing, especially with 1 Book of Specters played. I guess it's exactly the same.
I kind of like the Ice Barrier. Like, you're at 25, the Ice Barrier can perhaps relieve one of those breakpoints. That could be the difference in winning and losing a game.
Yeah.
Bunnyhoppor was 7 cards in hand. 7's kind of one of those weird numbers for Astromancer. I'm never really happy with it.
Yeah.
There's so many misses.
There are a few hits, though.
I mean, I'm going to play it.
Yeah.
My calculations are flawless. My calculations are flawless.
Khadgar's in hand, not in play. I just want to... From here, Bunnyhoppor offered the choice of the straight-up trade with Darius, which does not look super happy.
What to do? What to do?
I don't know if you have...
I think you have the option to go base.
Yeah, I mean, on board, Darius is not trading into anything.
I think the difference is that Bunnyhoppor just really doesn't want to take damage. And given the Ice Barrier choice, it's pretty consistent to go ahead and wipe out the minion and play for the longer game. You know, with Khadgar in hand, I think Bunnyhoppor's got an opportunity to really run away with it, either when he finds a good Astromancer turn with it or when he finds a Conjurer's Calling.
Yeah.
And this is not the cleanest Dr. Boom turn I've ever seen. You're facing down 10.
Now he can take out one of these with the Wrench Caliber plus the 2 attacks from the Town Crier. And he's got to get this 7 mana out of the way at some point. He does have Brawl, in case Bunnyhoppor decides to go a little bit wider on the next turn. But the rest of his hand's not really doing much. These Omega Assemblies, he wants to wait until that 10 mana. He's got effectively 2 weapons in hand. So it's going to take multiple turns to unload those. I honestly think that Dr. Boom with the double trade is the best option here.
Yeah, and the weapons project to me is the peculiar choice in Jing's Bomb Warrior deck, where you have 2 copies of Wrench Caliber. Why water that down more?
Just for rogues, I guess, but
I don't know. It's cluttering up the hand right now. Finds 7 more armor. So pretty big alleviation of pressure. And Bunnyhoppor's hand is looking awfully similar to his first set, where he's got some stuff, but nothing really to do with it. Like, none of these give a clear direction to Bunnyhoppor, I don't think.
Yeah. I mean, he does have the double Astromancer, which he didn't have in that game they were talking about in the first series where he lost a similar matchup to this one. But he's going to take it a little bit slower. Ooh.
Astro Rift, I always feel like is a pretty reasonable option in the slow matchups because it can hit some very large, valuable minions that you typically can't run in the main deck. Now, it can also do the opposite, but I would say typically this pans out a little bit better than it does worse.
Festerrude Hulk.
5-mana 2/7, and after one of your minions attacks, give it +1 attack.
Yeah. So Bunnyhoppor hoping to force out a Brawl here. If he does, he can reload with Khadgar plus Astromancer.
Yeah, Jing is really... Now Jing, I think, is in a really tough spot where you really want to have Brawl post Conjurer's Calling.
Yeah.
I'm not sure he's being offered the liberty to save for that much longer, though.
I think he's got to pull the trigger right now. And I think you throw in the Eternium Rover as well.
Ooh, the Eternium Rover can get magnetized onto by the Ziliax, though.
It can, but...
It's not that important in this matchup.
It also gives you that extra 25% chance to have a good outcome from the Brawl.
It's a true story. You know, lowering Disaster of the Mountain Giant living from 33 to 25 already sounds appealing. When you tack on a 25% bonus of all 3 of your opponent's minions died, and you get to gain 7 armor, I'm ripping the Brawl. You've convinced me, TJ. Jing has different plans in mind, which right now looks like live to turn 10, which I don't mind this plan. I actually think this plan from Jing succeeds a lot, where he just suffers the big hit from Bunnyhoppor this turn, and Bunnyhoppor's in a spot where he goes, can I afford to develop that much more? It has to have a hand like Bunnyhoppor has in order to really make the development awkward, because your last big point of development is the Astromancer.
The problem I see with this plan from Jing is the whole take 15 thing.
I think you can take 15. I don't think that's unreasonable right now.
Okay.
Now, Counterspell being offered, that suddenly makes the weapons project look a little bit better because you get to check a Counterspell for your Brawl. And the Festerroot Hulk, honestly, I think is a pretty reasonable point of development for Bunnyhoppor. It doesn't really expend anything valuable.
The funny thing is, if Bunnyhoppor doesn't choose Counterspell and Jing just unloads a weapons project, he overrides the Wrench Caliber, which he spent almost his entire turn last turn developing.
Look at that, Festerroot Hulk. It's doing good work here. Good job, buddy. You're forcing a little Brawl here.
5 mana, 5/7. I'll play that all day long. Ooh.
Jing also offered Warpath to use that instead. I think in Jing's spot, if you override your own range caliber, you don't really care that much. It's all about you have to have this brawl succeed.
This would be a good time for a master plan.
You get to add 3 1/1s with the hero power. This is the turn. I think his brawl save last turn might be a way for him to actually get in this game. Gotta play a spell that's not brawl first, though. Wise, I think.
Yeah, Warpath can struggle to hit some of the big minions in this deck. So sometimes not the most valuable card. But honestly, I value that Warpath over Weapons Project a lot of the time.
I think the issue is if it's not a counter spell.
Yeah, and you override your range caliber.
Oh, here we go. I don't know if Jing has left himself the time to attack if there's a minion left afterwards. Does get it off. So now down to 14. Bunnyhoppor has Khadgar Astromancer. He saw Jing wait a turn to brawl, which to me can put a read to Bunnyhoppor that perhaps Jing does not have another brawl, but he also just saw him use a Warpath to check a counter spell instead of a cheap, useless spell. So it's kind of a toss-up, but I think if I'm in Bunnyhoppor's spot, I'm going for Khadgar Astromancer here.
So Khadgar Astromancer gives him a copy of a 6-drop.
6s are good right now.
Yeah. I was thinking, though, it might be valuable to hold on to the Khadgar for a Conjurer's Calling.
That's greedy.
It is greedy. It's very greedy.
Oh, boy.
Oh, jeez.
That's the biggest one. And now Jing is in major trouble.
Bunnyhoppor must have stuck his almonds in the freezer because that is the stone cold nuts.
Petrified almonds. Omega Devastator offered, though. That almost wipes out a damaged Stegatron, which is not very damaged at the moment. Yeah.
Okay, then.
Yeah, that's an appropriate remark from the Mad Genius.
Also, the funny thing about this is these damaged Stegatrons are mechs. There's a Zilliax in hand.
Oh, yeah, for Bunnyhoppor. He just gets extra damage.
He just gets extra damage. Also protects him against Dynomatic if you were to have that, but...
Jing has to have something drastic happen this turn. I don't know what it is. The Vicious Scale, I don't know what its name is, 2-mana 2/2 that... Whoa! Devastator the Khadgar! You gotta kill those damaged Stegatrons! Those are 5/12s! The Khadgar's already done the dirty work. You gotta kill the 5-attack thing! I'm very worried.
Couple things here. One, Jing just basically told Bunnyhoppor in multiple ways, I don't have a brawl. The first fact was he didn't brawl. The second fact was he killed Khadgar because he was so scared of the Conjurer's Calling because he doesn't have brawl.
Warrior is a deck.
2, he left a 5/12 on board that he could have killed.
Warrior is a deck that you have to play conservatively with brawls in these styles of matchups. So even if Jing kills one of the 5/12s here, it doesn't necessarily tell Bunnyhoppor that he doesn't have a brawl. What it tells him is that he feels like he's safe enough to play through the scenario and wait to brawl. Bunnyhoppor here pretty much got the signal that there was no brawl because instead Jing killed Khadgar. If that's a bluff, that would be enormous. And now Jing needs brawl.
Warpath doesn't appear that it helps at first glance. This looks like it has to be some kind of Ziliak's turn to try and get that burst of healing. But beyond that, there's not a great way to clear off this board.
The Vicious being expended last turn, the Vicious Scrap Hound, the 2/2 that gains armor, that's a card that I like combining with Ziliak's because it effectively doubles the lifesteal.
It's huge. It's massive.
And that was also expended. Jing has no way to get through these damaged Stegatrons efficiently. The Khadgar scared him. He's a pretty powerful mage. I'm pretty scared of him too, but
Does he get anything off here? They're not great.
Yeah, he got a lot
anymore,
of
so
this. I saw a lot of this guy get queued up. I think that's enough that you get to queue up, but Bunnyhoppor has Voodoo Doll in hand, so it's just not going to end up well for Jing in that spot. So Bunnyhoppor just counting it, making sure. But that's easily 14 damage that he's got.
Yep.
Bunnyhoppor going to tie the series. And I don't think Jing necessarily gets out of that spot if he kills a 5/12 instead of killing the Khadgar. But killing the Khadgar opened the floodgate. Bunnyhoppor, no fear, and you took a lot more damage as a result. Maybe you get another turn if you kill one of the damaged Stegatrons. Yeah.
I don't know. Tough game overall. Bunnyhoppor going to tie up the series. I like the way he played that mage game. I definitely do.
The Astromancers provide a much different layer to the force a brawl from the opponent's hand style of strategy. And in that one, Bunnyhoppor never found a Conjurer's Calling to use. It was just big stuff the entire step of the way. The Book of Specters on turn 6 was really the massive draw that Bunnyhoppor picked up and I think fueled him for the rest of the game.
Yeah, I would agree with you. That's why the card is in the deck.
So good. Who knew 2-mana draw 3 cards was going to be good?
I certainly did not. I looked at that card and I said, but Mage plays a lot of spells.
Not anymore, brother.
Not anymore, brother. Series is heating up, though. All tied up at 1 apiece. Who's going to move on to those quarterfinals and who's going to have to fight their way once again through their group? We're going to find out right after this.
I'm Bunnyhoppor. I'm from Germany and I currently live in Oslo, Norway. I like playing Hearthstone firstly because I've loved playing card games since I was a child. My family and friends, they're overall supportive of me playing Hearthstone as an esport, but they're all very clear about what my #1 priority should be in my life, that being my PhD and future work in the chemical sector.
And that's going to do it. You guys have gone over it 1,000 times already. Bunnyhoppor is moving on to the Europe Winter Championship. What a ride for him.
In order to balance playing professionally and working a full-time job, I think you just generally have to accept that you're not going to be able to put in as much time in preparation and playing ladder and different things as other professional players. But you have to be confident in yourself that in the less time that you have, you can still make up for the training that others are getting in more time, trying to be a little bit more effective where others do not need to be effective. I actually don't have a good answer for how I balance my work and my professional gaming life because it's almost impossible to do both correctly at the same time. A little sleep is part of the answer, but that's definitely not an ideal solution.
我是凌乱镜，虽然我是个新人，但是我足够努力，然后心态现在也放得比较平和，然后这次比赛我会就是把自己表现到最好，把自己的风格也会展现到极致吧，然后希望大家能够支持我。我的专业是传媒学，然后其实我现在我学的专业和我现在现在从事这个炉石竞技，我认为是或多或少有一些联系的，就是我会把之前在学校学到一些专业知识去用到竞技炉石， 所涉及到的其他一些层面吧，比如说比赛解说或者是做主播这些类型，所以说我还是蛮热爱我的专业的，也蛮热爱炉石。对，我认为就是一对一的这种竞技比赛是能完全的印证，就是能够证明自己的实力吧。另一方面的话，我认为就是竞技炉石也会给我带来一些就是生活中的一些乐趣吧，就每次去参加竞技比赛会认识到更多的朋友，还有就是和我一样足够对炉石有热爱的这种一帮热血青年，所以说在这个过程中也收获了自己的友谊，所以我非常热爱竞技炉石。如果我夺冠的话，我认为原因的话一定是源于我首先最主要的是对炉石足够的热情和投入。虽然口头上说是运气，但是运气往往都会站在那个就是足够准备足够充分，而且表现足够好的那一边。所以我虽然一直在强调运气，但其实我更多的是在比赛中尽量的把自己做到最好，然后我认为自己做到最好，那个所谓的运气就会偏向你这边。
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the HCT World Championship. I'm TJ, once again joined by the Admiral. That's Admirable.
Howdy.
All tied up here. Bunnyhoppor versus Jing in the Group A winners match. Next matchup is an interesting one. That's Admirable.
Oh, indeed it is. It's going to be Bunnyhoppor on Rogue, but him and Viper teamed up for this event and came up with a Gadgets and Auctioneer list of Rogue to fight against Warrior decks. However, Jing has brought Bomb Warrior to this one, and TJ, I know that you have played this matchup a ton.
That's right. Yeah, as soon as I saw the list from Bunnyhoppor, I thought that it was super unique. Very different style than the Tempo Rogues that we've seen. And it is a Rogue deck that I think is quite favored against Control Warrior. Now, I say Control Warrior, I don't think it is against Bomb Warrior. The only healing you have in the deck is Ziliax, and while you can get a big Togwaggle scheme on Ziliax and chain draws over and over again, I don't think your value is going to match the value of Dr. Boom, and you take a little bit too much damage from the bombs in order for you to have time to end the game, because this deck is much slower. It runs the double Gadget and Auctioneer. It runs the package of thief cards, steal cards. What are we calling them?
Burgle cards.
Burgle cards, sure. It runs Blink Box. It runs the Hedge Clan Burglar plus the Vendetta. It does not have any weapons, except for the natural rogue hero power. It doesn't have the Waggle Pick. So it's not as aggressive of a list that you would expect to see, say, on Ladder or pretty much everybody else in the tournament with Viper, and maybe a few others like Language Hacker.
You mentioned Togwaggle's scheme. 1 mana rogue spell, and every turn it upgrades. It starts saying shuffle a minion into your deck, 1 copy of it. And then every turn it goes to 2 copies, 3 copies, so on and so forth. I feel like that is really the tool that sets this deck apart from so many other of the rogue decks, where the other rogue decks are trying to eliminate the opponent as quickly as possible. This one feels to me like it's trying to just stifle pressure and then have some massive turn of inevitability, like a bad quest rogue, if you will.
Sure, yeah. And the way this wins against a Control Warrior is oftentimes not in fatigue, but close to fatigue. What happens is you get a vastly upgraded Togwaggle scheme. You play one of the lackeys in Heist Baron Togwaggle. You pick the Wonder Swan. Then you shuffle the Togwaggles into your deck.
The 3 mana draw and
the 3 mana draw. Make all the cards you cost 0. And you draw 3 Heist Baron Togwaggles from your deck that you just shuffled in. And you keep doing that until you have a board full of Togwaggles and a bunch of the treasures in your hand, and you outvalue. And it's just such a huge swing in the very late stages of the game, and Warrior can't match that value.
Yeah. Now, the key is the very late stages of the game.
Yes.
You have to get there in a various number of strange ways with this deck. It has ways to pressure with Van Cleef and a copy of Questing Adventurer in here. But it's got a lot of removal packed into it. It's got 2 saps to help play for tempo, the double Eviscerate, of course, and the Vendetta package that you talked about. But it's also got a copy of Wanted, in the deck.
Yeah, it's in caps.
I have to
with
say,
an exclamation point.
Exactly. I have to say it that way. That's the way it's intended to be said.
Yeah. Gives you some good removal early on in the game. Also gives you a coin to couple with Gadget and Auctioneer, Edwin Van Cleef, or to combo the Evil Miscreants. And so that's how it fares against the Control Warrior. But like we said, against the Bomb Warrior, it's much more difficult. And I like this recognition from Bunnyhoppor. His hand is not great. By playing Edwin Van Cleef onto the board, he basically does not have great plays lined up for the next couple of turns. But what it does do is it challenges one of the 3-drops that Jing would have. And based on the mulligan, he kept a few cards. Bunnyhoppor knows that him being tempoed out of the game by the early minions that Bomb Warrior has that Control Warrior does not is a possibility. But it's going to be punished by the Shield Slayer.
I don't know if I necessarily call this a punish. I do like all the points that you hit there, though, with Bunnyhoppor's hand and the Edwin Van Cleef trying to stifle the pressure from an Augmented Elec. Now, that Augmented Elec bomb combo comes over 2 turns from this point, where Bunnyhoppor's going to be able to get Henchclan Burglar down. He's going to roll into 5 mana, and now he has access to Ziliax. That, to me, is really a big point of defensive measure from Bunnyhoppor, where, again, I kind of said it doesn't have a ton of removal, and some of the removal's kind of mediocre.
Yeah.
Being able to buy that 1 extra turn, I think, is the difference in Bunnyhoppor sometimes having this game snowball out of control and not doing so. And so you might look at that mulligan and wonder why he tossed away Eviscerate, and the reason is because he wants to find the key cards in the deck, the Evil Miscreants, the times where you have the immense hands with Edwin Van Cleef instead of just a piddly little one. And you also want an Auctioneer in hand. You want to find stuff like Prep. Start juicing through the deck.
Juicing right on up there. I will say against, I played probably about 50 games of Bunnyhoppor's Rogue List. It was slightly differently teched. I did play one less copy of Sap and an Acidic Swampoos added for obvious ladder reasons, with so many aggressive rogues on the other side. But against Bomb Warrior, the amount of times that I won the game when my opponent just kind of played on curve with good stuff was pretty low. You need a lot of time with this deck. The ways you win are sticking in early Van Cleef, having Evil Miscreants early on with very strong lackeys.
Wow, Jing gonna rip one of the Omega Assemblies here. I'm quite surprised by this because I think Jing's hand is quite strong. Perhaps seeing if there's a Dino-Matic in here and that would change his play to maybe a Clockwork Goblin instead of an Augmented Elec. That seems a tad unusual to me.
Yeah. Goes with the Boom Reaver.
I think it's the best one of those options. I mean, there's some just cards that don't really do anything. Bunnyhoppor drawing Leroy as well. Bunnyhoppor's draws have not been fantastic thus far. I mean, I think the Ziliax was pretty decent, but you know, you look at this turn. This is where you wanted to have the Vendetta turn. Perhaps you know, something small and Eviscerate. Have Evil Miscreant be ready by now. Instead, it's just play a minion and say go. Tracking is interesting.
Yeah?
You can risk discarding cards, but you know, the whole point is to help you find a key critical thing to use.
Just pick up an Evil Miscreant and have the combo activator already because you played the tracking.
Yep.
Now that's a hand.
Dr. Boom's nice to pick up, but I think with the way that this game is rolling so far, Jing doesn't even really need that. I think Wrench Caliber would have been more welcomed right now.
The Mad Genius is always welcome.
True. I mean, if I can't draw exactly Wrench Caliber, the best card in my deck right now, you know, given this specific circumstance, I'll take Dr. Boom. Whoa. So Jing really valuing having an answer to Gadget and Auctioneer, I think, if he chooses to go with this, really wants to save the Militia Commander.
Did he think he had 6 mana?
No, I don't think so.
He moused over the Clockwork Goblin after he played the Augmented Elec.
Yeah, I think he's just going through the steps in his head.
Okay. You're a benefit of the doubt kind of guy?
Well, the reason why is because last time I saw Jing make a play like that, he shifted dramatically in his chair, and this time he didn't shift dramatically. Context. I think the debate was trade or not trade.
Okay. Do want to point out this this Eternium Rover getting in there for 4.
1 mana, 4 damage.
Solid.
Superior Sinister Strike.
And at some point in this game, it's going to gain armor.
And it's still there.
It's still there. Will it ever go away? Only time will tell.
Another tough turn for Bunnyhoppor here where I'm just not quite sure the direction that he ends up going with in this spot. You know, like, I'm looking at, like, I have backstab, I have tracking, I need to find something to fuel the Auctioneer. I don't necessarily want to expend my Zilliax because I feel like this is one of those games where Togwaggle's scheme on Zilliax could be the way that he ends up sustaining himself.
About Leroy.
I actually don't mind the Leroy because Fan of Knives is there, and I don't think Leroy's how Bunnyhoppor's going to win this game. Ah. Shadow stepping. Smart.
Very smart. Shadow Step, you just mentioned it. Leroy's not going to be the way he wins this game. There's not too many other great targets to Shadow Step in the deck. I'm thinking Van Cleef early on in the game to gain that additional stats on that.
Togwaggle sometimes, Evil Miscreant.
Togwaggle sometimes. Sometimes, very rarely, Gadget and Auctioneer.
What now?
Just if you need to start cycling through your deck, but you don't want to give up your Gadget just yet.
And to me, this is really the curious question mark about the Elix being expended is now Jing has lost the double shuffle of the bombs into the deck and does another copy of Militia Commander. Like, if you look at the removal stuff that's in here, you have Darius Crowley, you have Dino-Matic, you have a second Militia Commander, and you have 2 Town Criers that can help find those rush cards. I think that Jing last turn was in a spot where he could have opted to save one of the Elix to add additional pressure to Bunnyhoppor later on and relied on the natural strength of the deck to be able to take care of big Auctioneer turns if they show up.
Yeah.
I'd say right now, advantage Bunnyhoppor.
I would agree. Does not have the ability to go for the that kind of super late game plan that I talked about. It is possible.
Oh, I still think it's very possible. I'm surprised that you don't.
Things can ramp up quite quickly once it gets to those late stages of the game.
Unity, precision, perfection.
Wow. Is this going to be another Shadow Step, or does Bunnyhoppor, having seen both Elix, perhaps think he might be in the clear now?
Well, the one thing about Jing's Bomb Warrior is it does kind of float halfway. Because he doesn't play the full bomb package. He doesn't play the C4M bombers. He does play Clockwork Goblins. He does play the Wrench Calibers. But he doesn't go full in.
Well, the Wrench Caliber is kind of one of my fears, though. You know, if this game goes long enough, you're looking at Wrench Calibers and the Clockwork Goblins being enough to end it through natural draws.
Yeah.
Maybe Bunnyhoppor was thinking exactly because this is a 7-mana turn, Jing is going to feel like it's paramount to play Dr. Boom and actually just gets to pick up a little bit more value with the Silly Accident Shadow Step. Is that possible?
Maybe.
That would be like some master level thinking.
He does have a PhD in computational biology, specifically multi-scale computational modeling of biochemical systems in the condensed phase.
Sounds to me like he could play Zilliax and get an extra pickup with it on the following turn because you know your opponent's going to play Dr. Boom on 7 mana and then Shadow Step it afterwards to have it for that ultra late game.
Seems reasonable to me.
Now, if he doesn't do that, that entire joke is lost. But if he does,
aha.
I think he's going to do it.
So the one thing about this rogue deck is it doesn't pressure that heavily. It doesn't have the heavy pressure cards like the Waggle Pick. Doesn't have extra damage with like Deadly Poison, Sousy Deccan. Does have Evil Miscreants, but those don't often translate to pressure. He does have one Questing Adventure as well, which again doesn't often translate to pressure.
Proof morale from the Blink Fox offers Bunnyhoppor a different way to get a lackey.
Yeah.
Should it come to that. I want to see the Shadow Step here. I really do.
No dice.
I think that's a critical turn to look at. I really do.
So a couple reasons why he wouldn't play the Shadow Step. One, if he's planning for this game to go super late, it offers additional lackey generation off of Evil Miscreant, which could give you more treasure generation from the multiple Togwaggles that you're going to shuffle into your deck super late.
Yeah.
Another benefit of it is, if say your Togwaggle scheme is very close to the bottom of your deck, it allows you to get a treasure to try and play for pressure early on in the game, and then be able to Shadow Step your High Spear and Togwaggle back into your hand to have it later for the scheme as well. So that second Shadow Step does have a lot of value.
This would be a good time for a master plan.
And I think Jing is really going to be slapping himself over the fact that he played that Omega Assembly for 1 deck on turn 4.
It's possible.
The way his hand panned out, he probably thought, okay, I dealt with this Edwin early on, which means that Bunnyhoppor probably doesn't have that high quality of a hand. I'm most likely going to be able to stick these Augmented Elix and start shuffling bombs in my opponent's deck and playing for a tempo. But that was shut down pretty quickly. And I think if he had known that that was going to be the pan out, he would have held on to the Omega Assembly.
Well, I think so as well. I'm still quite surprised by it. I just don't know what her mech was really offering at that point. And preparation gets drawn for Bunnyhoppor now. So when does this auctioneer take place? And it's right now.
Right now. So in order to go for that big play that I talked to you about earlier, if he plans for us to go to super late, you do need to hold on to the second prep.
Do you?
You don't have to, but it makes the turn
much easier.
Well, like infinitely stronger, because you get to draw 3 more High Spear and Togwaggles in that turn, and still be able to keep generating those treasures. So let's say you play Lackey, High Spear, and Togwaggle, and then you play the 3 Togwaggles that you've drawn off the scheme from the first treasure. If you have the second prep, it allows you to draw 3 more and play 2 additional ones that same turn. So you load your hand up with the 4 additional treasures plus 1 0-cost Togwaggle in your hand.
Yeah. Bunnyhoppor says a few cards is enough. Dead card with the Deadly Arsenal, 6-mana warrior card. Reveal a weapon from your deck. Deal its attack in damage to all minions.
Yeah.
It's very easy Devastator here, I think, for Jing.
Yeah. Can play it this turn, though. Well, he can, but...
You don't want to.
Yeah.
It's typically a bad idea.
Yeah.
I mean, you're 1 mana crystal away.
Yeah. Yeah.
What gates? I don't see any gates.
What job? I don't see any jobs.
Not after that comment.
This is what I mean by this deck not really applying too much pressure. Look at that hand.
It's a combo deck.
Look at the texture of the hand.
Describe it.
Leathery. It's pretty stylish, but not very comfy.
Another Miscreant offered, also the tempo from Vendetta. Usually when offered Miscreant, you take Miscreant. Backstep for hand space.
What were the other 2? Vendetta and...
I don't know, some useless card.
Okay, cool.
Choose soon.
Was it Fan of Knives? It might have been Fan of Knives.
That'd be good.
No, it can't have been Fan of Knives. He just, no, that's silly. He used a Fan of Knives.
He does have 2 Fan of Knives.
I don't know, it was something dumb.
Yeah.
Big turns for Jing coming up. Just big old stuff.
Yeah, the problem for Jing is He needs to win the game by killing his opponent. He can't win the game by running him out of resources. If Bunnyhoppor plays this correctly, he will essentially have infinite resources.
Yeah, and Bunnyhopper's not the kind of player you want to rely on to not generate nigh infinite resources.
Yeah, one of the issues that I see right now for Bunnyhoppor is that Togwaggle's scheme is somewhere in the bottom half of his deck. If it's his last card, that's a problem.
And see, that's kind of where my head's at with the Ziliax, is like, in the situation that Bunnyhoppor was in, I felt like he got out of it extremely cleanly.
Yeah.
And the Shadow Step isn't necessary for the Togwaggle turns to happen. And so because of that, I feel like Bunnyhoppor could have used a Shadow Step for the worst case scenario style of play and been totally fine this game. If he had a Ziliax in hand right now, I feel like Bunnyhoppor is invincible in this game.
I don't know about that play.
Use the weak cards first.
But I do like getting value out of the hero power each turn. I don't think you're in that much worse of a spot if you make the Militia Commander play into the Evil Miscreant, but then play the hero power and trade all of the mechs into the 3/3. Now, that kind of goes against what I said the turn before, where Jing needs to kill his opponent because he's not going to win in that super late value game.
Right. I feel like with Boom Reaver in hand, with Omega Devastator and with Dynomatic, you're free to take some. You're free to take some off hero powers there for the sake of development. That's just not going to work out. Is what it really boils down to. Bunnyhoppor has now found Togwaggle, so all we're missing for this to really come together is the Togwaggle scheme.
Yeah, he did use the second prep though, so that means that Heist Baron Togwaggle turn is a little bit weaker. Still quite powerful.
Yeah.
Give me a quest.
You got it. And there's the scheme, and that means Bunnyhopper's, I would say, pretty done drawing cards from that point.
Yeah.
Wants to just take time to build up the scheme and have the massive turn with Heist Baron Togwaggle. And I think given Jing's hand right now, that's going to happen, and I'm not sure there's much he can do about it. I'm thinking, I mean, something wacky's going to have to happen if that's not going to be the case.
Yeah. Now, there is some kind of wacky stuff you can do with Leroy Jenkins and the Heist Baron Togwaggle.
That one you need the preparation for,
yeah,
typically.
Not necessarily.
I love how it just goes to the same spot. We're like, well, if you have enough time.
All right, so here's a fun way to do it. You play a lackey, Heist Baron Togwaggle, get a Wondrous Wand. You play another. You Shadow Step the Heist Baron Togwaggle, play another lackey Togwaggle the next turn, get another Wondrous Wand. Then you Leroy Jenkins, Togwaggle scheme, and play both Wondrous Wands.
You draw 6 Leroys. They
you
all
draw
cost
6
zeros.
Leroys. They all cost 0. You play all 6 Leroys on top of the Leroy that you just played.
42 damage.
Yes. It takes some time, but if you have the time, it's quite good.
Right. Warrior's really the one deck that offers that kind of time as well. And so I think during the deck building stage that Bunnyhoppor and Viper made a pretty brilliant call, all things considered. Against Control Warrior, they have pretty much infinite time.
And this is the infinite time I was talking about. So it looks like he's going to go for that. Honestly, it does.
I don't blame him. I mean, Wondrous Wand,
he just needs enough time to get that Togwaggle scheme up to 6.
Shadow Step the Tog.
Actually, he doesn't even need to get it up to 6. No, he needs to get it up to 6 because of the Blast Shield.
See, 7 armor, that's a hero power I hate skipping. 3 1/1s, who cares? 7 armor, I hate missing that hero power.
Yeah.
That's like 2 tank ups.
This would be a good time for a master
Almost.
plan.
Usually when you get them in bulk, you have to give a deal for that sort of thing.
It does feel like when I get to the super late game that my success rate on the Leroy shuffle is quite low because the warrior has amassed a decent amount of armor at that point. So I usually tend to go for the super value with the shuffle and the high spear and togwaggle.
I also find it to be a bit of an issue when my opponent plays a 7-9 and I don't really have a way in hand to deal with it.
Oh, I love that. This would be a good time for a master.
That also limits my time.
He could find a way. The togwaggle scheme was drawn. It's only at 2 right now, I believe.
Yeah. It should be 3 now because he drew it the turn previous to this one. Is that correct? Because he played the togwaggle this turn.
Well, Vendetta, a pretty reasonable activator for that evil miscreant. So this is probably a Vendetta, evil miscreant. Play a lackey, play a togwaggle, get another Wondrous Wand, survive. Survive. And kill. Oh!
Oh! Whoa!
Whoa there, buddy.
Yeah, that could have been. That could have been bad.
The calm before the storm.
Now, with playing this togwaggle, he kind of has to go for Wondrous Wand.
I was kind of thinking of, does he have the time ever to do like a weird goblet sort of play? But Wondrous Wand is just so good.
Well, his game plan is very straightforward at this point.
Oh!
Yeah, his game plan at this point is to go for the Leroy togwaggle scheme, Wondrous Wand.
Yeah, and this
Wait, but. Okay,
what?
No, I see.
Yeah. But what?
Because he doesn't have the second prep, he can't go for that in a turn.
This would be a
Why
good
not?
time for a master.
Because though 2 Wondrous Wands cost 6.
Oh, you mean like in just full on one turn? I think Bunnyhopper's counting on being able to deal some damage here. Still got 2 Eviscerates left in the deck.
Yeah, he does have to get through his deck first in order to guarantee that the Leroys are drawn.
That's a true story.
But he's not under too much pressure at this point. He knows that Jing's hand is pretty weak just by how he's been playing, right?
Well, I think Jing's going to be able to swing this board pretty darn quickly. I mean, he's got Shield Slam for the 6/6. That's going to boost the minions back down. And then you have Dynomatic after that. Like, you're going to be able to pretty much make some good work of this board.
Yeah.
There's no Shadow Steps left in the deck, so you don't have to worry about the Miscreant activating again.
There's no preps.
Pretty straightforward. Just go face turn here for Jing. And Bunnyhopper now is under real pressure. I don't know if he's going to be able to get this done. He's losing very bad right now.
This is exactly what I talked about earlier on. I feel like Bunnyhopper...
The second Auctioneer was the one that's really the question mark to me. Did he draw far enough? And then, of course, you know, my head's always going to float on that Shadow Step on the Zilliax. I think with that Zilliax, Bunnyhopper probably had this game in the bag.
So many options.
That togwaggle scheme, I believe, is at 4.
So even if Bunnyhopper was to Leroy togwaggle... Oh, wow. Wow. That is desperate. Sap is very nice. Yeah, Bunnyhopper's moving in now. And this is very wise from, I think, Bunnyhopper's side, where he recognizes I'm going to need more time if I'm going to get this done. So I got to spend some mana, I got to deal some damage, and I got to draw a lot of cards. And he's got to have this succeed as well, because you can just still rip Leroy multiple times in a row to get it done. You don't have to do it in one turn. You can do it in successive turns.
Yeah, but I believe he still has 1 bomb left in his deck. He has an, I believe he has an Evil Cable Rat and a bomb. Are those the last 2 cards?
I think he's played the Cable Rat.
Oh, he played the Cable Rat.
I think he did. He's got another sap left, right?
Yeah, it would have to be sap. Sap and bomb?
Sounds right to me. He's going to have to chain together multiple Leroys, but to me, one of the bigger ones is that he's going to have to also deal with a Boom Reaver again. Like, Boom Reaver's just going to come down to the situation again.
Well, the thing that I'm thinking about is with 3 damage thrown to the face here. Well, let's count. So his max damage output next turn?
25.
Unity, precision, perfection.
Whoa. Why not just play the Boom Reaver in that case?
I'm almost out of cards. I'm out of cards.
Oh, it was 2 bombs. So that's just a miss lethal because he had the hero power. Oh, no, it is lethal.
What? Okay, I didn't know it was 2 bombs left. I swore there was another sap.
And also, neither of the players knew that it was 2 bombs left.
And to me, that is an illustration of how hard it is to keep your focus on every single thing that happens in a game when you get to this point. I genuinely thought there was a sap left. And I'm sitting here watching I don't have the pressure of having to be up there and compete for this much. But that's one of the reasons why the Bomb Warrior deck is stronger against these styles of matchups. It's more aggressive and it has more damage output. That's exactly what ended up killing Bunnyhoppor in that situation. And go back to that Zilliax turn where Bunnyhoppor could have saved that. He could have had a ton more Zilliaxes in that deck and never been under pressure as a result of having that Zilliax in hand. So many different things could have happened in that game from both sides that it's pretty unthinkable to go down those roads with the little time that we have.
What a weird, embarrassing ending for everybody involved.
Yes, eloquently put.
Yeah. And it feels like that's my experience playing that matchup, and Bunnyhoppor expected a lot more of the standard control warriors over the bomb warriors, but unfortunately not able to get it done as Jing moves up to a 2-1 lead. 1 game away now from winning his group and qualifying to those quarterfinals on Sunday. We're going to see if Jing can close it out more here from the HCT World Championship right after this.
When I was doing my PhD and Hearthstone, I was usually just working like 9 to 5. And then in the evenings, I would go and play ladder and practice for tournaments. But then I'd also try to spend some time with my girlfriend. On the weekends that she was working, I'd play like basically, I don't know, 24 hours of Hearthstone in a whole weekend. I've made some pretty good friends from playing Hearthstone throughout very different countries. People that I like personally think very much of, and I'm quite happy to have made these friends. In Cologne, we say mal 5 gerade sein lassen, which means just let 5 be an even number and, you know, just get on with it. You move on and you go, because you know you're going to be happier if you don't argue about whatever that is. And even though I've been in the competitive Hearthstone scene for quite a long time, I think winning the last championship is really something that put me right in the middle of other really good players that are just competing at the highest level and feeling even more included in this community, because most people in there are very nice and you talk to pretty much everybody. I've been in the competitive Hearthstone scene for almost 3 years now, but yeah, being able to win the championship has kind of benefited. Even more people come actively forward to talk to me rather than me reaching out to others.
everybody? Welcome back to the HCT World Championship. I'm TJ, once again joined by the Admiral. That's Admiral.
Yo.
Jing one game away from securing his victory in the series. Moving on as the victor of Group A. It's just day one, man. Day one.
Hang on a second. Hang on. I'm going to stop you right there. Token Druid is the last deck for Jing in this one. And that was the deck that when we asked players about it, constantly said it was the weakest deck of the considerable ones. And time after people discussed, these decks are good versus Token Druid. This deck's good versus Token Druid. This part of my lineup's good versus Token Druid. I feel like everyone had a good matchup versus Token Druid, but Jing did win his first match. And here we are again with Token Druid being the decider. So Bunnyhoppor now has to 3-0 that if he's going to be out of this set. So yeah, I don't like my chances ever when I have to win 3 straight games.
No, 2 straight games.
2 straight games, excuse me. But I also don't like my chances ever if I have Token Druid right now.
Yeah, but on the other side of the coin there, if everybody thinks that Token Druid is not a deck worthy of bringing to the tournament, that means they don't respect it. That means they don't build their decks to beat it.
True story.
Which means that the couple of players that did bring it to the tournament look a little bit better. And Token Druid has been, if you look at deck aggregate sites, Token Druid has been up there as one of the highest win rate decks. It just doesn't necessarily match like pro player sentiment about the deck.
It's like how a Conquest match works.
Yeah, and I think one of the reasons why it's a high win rate deck is because, one, it's a deck that preyed early on in the expansion on unrefined lists. Because it just keeps building boards and it'll kill you if you have weak turns, which unrefined decks often have weak turns. 2, it's a very cheap deck to play. Its dust cost is not very high, which means there's a lot of players playing it, which means there's a lot of players refining it. So you get those huge sample sizes that allows you to build your deck according to the meta. So I think those are a couple reasons why the win rate might be inflated, as I mentioned, compared to the sentiment of the players.
Pitch away Leroy, card draw number 1. Leroy, not from the mulligan, but on turn 1.
Yeah.
This feels reminiscent of the first game.
Yeah, and Jing's got just a decent start. I mean, Acorn Bear into the Dreamway Guardians is pretty much what you want.
Yeah, I will be curious, actually, because I think Jing has a possibility of coining out the Dreamway Guardian here. That's really the major option for Jing right now. But when I'm looking at a hand like this, and I'm looking at Forest Aid, I think that Jing's opening is good enough to perhaps get to turn 7 without using coin and then coining out Forest Aid. That is such a strong turn when you're in parity. If the game's like at all even, Forest Aid is a crushingly good card. So early on already with questions. I'm gonna go for it.
Yeah.
This contests the board so nicely.
Also, this is a matchup that's about the board, right? Zoo Warlock can tend to run away with boards very quickly. And if you can chop down a board of a Token Druid, they struggle. Because pretty much half the cards in their deck rely on them already having a board.
That Voidwalker's a nice draw for Bunnyhoppor here. I imagine we're going to be seeing Abusive Sergeant and start mopping up these little 1-2s.
The problem is his follow-up.
Well, it's a Soulfire and then tap. I think this, you said it, I mean, the matchup's all about the board. I don't think that a Leroy or perhaps a random card is going to really be the difference. I think it's about securing board. And with Life Tap, what that means is...
If that's the case, do you Soulfire now? Do you Abusive Sergeant Soulfire?
No, I want a Voidwalker.
Okay.
I want... The 1-3 is different. That fights the board. And it fights the board quite well. Talking about the Token Druid list for Jing in this one. 2 copies of Swiper in there. 1 copy of Starfall included in the list. Interesting choice that I think can help fight in a matchup like this one. And to me, the big one I look at is Archmage Vargoth. 4-mana 2/6, and it plays a spell at random that you played this turn. Hitting that card with like Blessing of Ancients or Power of the Wild can be such a massive turn. Oh, Magic Carpet. Well, that makes this a lot easier.
We're going to go on a Magic Carpet ride.
Oh, yeah.
To hell.
I got dark quick.
The problem is Magic Carpet has 0 synergy with his current hand.
Well, I mean, the rest of the deck is really what you're looking for, right? There's 18 one-cost cards. 5 of those are spells, excuse me. This is some critical draw moments here for Bunnyhoppor, though. Jing's turn pretty straightforward.
The bright side for Jing here is that, let's say Bunnyhoppor just unloads a ton of 1-drops next turn. He's got the swipe to clear up. And if that's what he's expecting, do you just pre-trade this Hench Clan Hogsteed into the Magic Carpet to set up?
I would think so. I think that having the swipe next turn is something you're going to consider expending anyway, even if Bunnyhoppor really didn't have a bunch of minions in play.
Time waits for no one.
It's got to have 2 of them, though.
It's a pretty big tell if he goes for a play like that, but I don't think at this point you care.
This be our neck.
Oh boy. Well, things just got quite weird. None of these are Soulfire targets, that's for sure.
Well, a tap's on the menu.
I wonder.
Few Soulfire targets in the deck, I mean, all things considered. You know, looking at 2 copies of Belligerent Gnome, a Keeper Steladris, maybe a Power of the Wild, making a 3/2.
Yeah, very little.
Ooh. Witchwood a pretty good draw.
Yeah, Witchwood very interesting. It's also just an interesting inclusion in the deck from the get-go.
It makes a lot of sense with Magic Carpet.
It does, yeah.
Another slow card for Jing. Just got to keep hacking away at that carpet.
He does. Keep hacking away at the carpet. Eventually, you'll get to turn 8. You can play Forest 8, and then...
Really high thread count that carpet is. Not those 260 thread count carpets that are like sandpaper. We're talking 800 thread count. Google it, it's a thing.
Witchwood Imp, 1/1, Death Rattle. Give your carpets 200 threads.
I guess the question here is the squirrels, honestly. Like, I think that there's some pretty good reason to not play them, given the blessing in hand.
Time waits for no one.
Twin Spell, give them +1/+1. So on turn 5, if you just draw like another poor card, you at least get to make a couple of 2/2s that way.
Yeah.
It's not like Magic Carpet's really beating down the door, but you do want to account for another Witchwood, perhaps?
This is such a weird game because both players' hands have been pretty atrocious in the early game. They like had a great start. They both are like 1-drop, 1-drop, board pressure, trade minions.
Hero power, hero power,
hero power, hero power, do nothing, hero power.
Solarium will be nice for next turn on Bunnyhoppor's side. Another slow turn, though. Gosh, can you imagine if this was against Rogue? There's no way these decks would win. These hands.
So many possibilities.
It's like they're fighting with spaghetti.
That was the name of my last album. Ooh. That's a good way to handle the Magic Carpet. Get to hero power the 1/1 as well. This is like a really bad arena decks that are slapping each other right now. Don't look at the hands, just look at what's happening in play. They'll turn into good arena decks eventually, but right now...
More Druid Lodi. Doesn't make its way into too many Token Druid lists, but Token Druid's a deck that can be teched in so many different ways.
It's one of the things I really like about it. I'd say that that Jing's version is looking quite decent against Warrior, while at the same time having a little bit more game versus aggressive decks.
Yeah. I think poison this here is the best, honestly, as weird as it sounds.
No way! You kill that carpet. I'm not letting that thing stick around. I'm tired of it.
Well, the thing about it was, I was thinking to set up for a better swipe.
Oh, you're going for like the nutso plays.
Yeah, because if you rush this in, now you... I mean, I guess it's the same. You give him like a better... no, this is better.
There's not really anything big in Bunnyhoppor's deck to hit. I mean, we're
well,
looking
I
at...
was thinking you don't give him anything for the egg to trade into. You poison this over the egg the next turn, and then you swipe away the board that he develops.
I'd be worried about Grim Rally a little bit.
Grim Rally would be the punish to that, and I think this play is quite obviously better against that.
Spell Locky offered, so Grim Rally is possible.
Hellfire.
Sense Demons. Pretty nice looking swipe that Jing's gonna have on this turn. Pretty ugly looking draw that Jing's gonna have on this turn. Turn 7 is what's gonna be really critical here for Jing, because after this swipe, his hand is atrocious for turn 7.
I'm just curious if Bunnyhoppor's going to jam the Archvillain next turn.
I mean, I think you do.
Well, he picked the Hellfire, so he does have...
His hand is so bad right now.
Yeah.
The Jing's at 30. You have like 15 more 1-cost cards in the deck. Like, I don't think Knife Jugglers and Crystallizer and Argent Squires are going to get there anymore. You've been stifled. And if your opponent plays the Forest Aid in order to generate 2/2s, the Hellfire only stops that for 1 turn.
Yeah.
I think you're slamming that Arc Thief for Fom right here, and that's the way you're going to win this game. Is this the 1 in 10 games that it wins?
All right, Sottle, I hope you're watching.
Yes, Sottle.
All right, he's not
gonna... come on!
If you're not going to play it there, don't put it in your deck. All right, well, it turns out he drew the nuts from Solarium, so whatever.
You do get another turn to play it at least.
Yeah.
You could play it next turn.
From nothing, power.
Oh, man.
Sometimes from nothing, nothing as well. And 4-cost card summons 4 1/1 imps. I'm thinking like Knife Juggler. Oh gosh, the turn from this is a scary bad turn from Jing.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna look at this board and go, oh my gosh, I am so now think about that coin that was in question, right? If Jing had tried to fight honestly on board, he would have been behind. I think he would have caught back up at the swipe, and he would have coined Forest State on this turn. It would have been a different landscape, but given how Bunnyhoppor's hand panned out, Jing was not going to be under threat, really.
Yeah, honestly,
you can't foresee that, though.
The way this game has panned out with Jing pretty much having a dead turn this turn, I don't think Bunnyhoppor's going to play the Archvillain Reform because he wants that 10 burst damage from hand. With Hellfire, you go to turn 10, that's 13 burst damage from hand. He's going to probably try and put on as much damage as he possibly can this turn. And then on the Forest Aid turn, which is pretty obvious at this point.
If Forest State isn't obvious right now, I just have no idea what would be at this point.
Yeah. So he's pushing 8 now, pushes him down to 21. He's got 10 burst damage in hand. If Forest State is going to be played next turn, he can expect 3 damage to be eliminated, which means he's going to be pushing for 6 the following turn. He's a little bit off, but that doesn't even include the minions that he's going to play this turn that can get the recurring damage.
I know that it's better to probably not play the Archvillain Reform, but that's what everybody wants to see right now. Grim Rally gets drawn for Bunnyhoppor.
And he's got the perfect target for the Grim Rally with the abusive Sergeant.
Oh boy.
Which is basically only in the deck for its Battle Cry. And now, Jinx just doesn't have time to play the Force Aid because he's going to die.
Grim Rally is the draw that Bunnyhoppor has been looking for quite some time. And the turn 7 from Jing is what gave Bunnyhoppor this real opportunity. Without this, he would have had to pay so much respect to board. What?
Fiendish Circle and then Grim Rally.
Okay.
He does push less damage this way. Does he still set up for lethal?
That's the first from hand, so I think so because of that.
Oh yeah, he's got plenty of damage.
He's threatening 14 next turn just on board.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jing.
And even if Bunnyhoppor didn't even have burst hammer from hand, Force Aid looks terrible here.
And you can see why I said if the board is even. If. It's a very large if, and you had some dreadful looking turns with a bunch of buffs in hand. Only option for Jing is the Force Aid. Bunnyhopper's going to force game number 5 here with probably one of the slowest zoo starts that I've seen in a long time.
Just a weird game overall.
Weird set so far. Everything's been weird. That means Warrior's going to have to get the job done. Sorry, not Warrior.
Rogue.
I don't know why I said Warrior. Rogue.
There it is.
There it is. Bunnyhoppor doesn't have Warrior. That's where my head was going. Either way, 2 wet fish slap each other around and eventually one of them wins.
That's what it's come down to. And honestly, I feel like we can't expect every player here to come with a perfect lineup. They had 8 days to prepare a lineup, post-rotation, post-expansion.
Well, part of that's just with the draws in that game, too. I don't think the decks that are built are poorly built.
Yeah.
I think in that game, they were just poorly drawn. Well, very poorly drawn.
But when you're playing in an aggressive strategy, it's all about that consistency. And I feel like maybe there's a better deck in that spot somewhere. Who knows? It's all speculation at this point, for us and for them.
You gotta have payoff cards too.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. But means we're going to a game 5. It is going to come down to, as you mentioned, the Token Druid for Jing. Going to be put to another test here with the Rogue deck from Bunnyhoppor.
I have a big question mark on this Rogue deck right now versus Token Druid. I think that versus a lot of other decks, it stands a pretty good chance, but Bunnyhopper's just not really applying pressure over to Jing's side. That gives him time for Force Aid to be impactful in that matchup if he's just still doing stuff.
A couple things to note here. One of the MVP, two of the MVP cards in this matchup in particular, Edwin Van Cleef and Questing Adventurer. One thing that this Druid deck does lack is just hard removal. It does have swipe, or it can trade in its board into a big minion.
A couple copies of Wrath.
Couple copies of Wrath.
Edge-Clan Hogsteed as well.
But when I played this matchup, oftentimes if I stick a large threat early on, I can just win.
Yeah, that is definitely Druid's weakness.
That only happens one in every maybe 10, probably even more. I'd say one in every 15 games. But it is a win condition. Other than that, he's got 2 Fan of Knives. So again, ways to fight, but not real ways to pressure. But we're going to get into game number 5 in a few moments. We're going to have to go to a break, but when we come back, the conclusion of Bunnyhoppor versus Jing.
Well met, friend. Ooh. Let's get this over with.
I win!
Oh, what an amazing game! Well played!
Here's to the winner.
Welcome back, everybody. The HCT World Championship. Bunnyhoppor and Jing have brought this series to a game number 5. It all comes down to the Token Druid from Jing versus the Miracle Rogue from Bunnyhoppor. I'm TJ, once again joined by the Admiral. That's Admirable.
Yo.
This is going to be a tough matchup, I feel, for Bunnyhoppor.
Both these decks are losses in the series so far.
Yep.
And in quite unspectacular fashions at that. So I'll be curious to see how this one goes. You know, I think Jing had a pretty strong opener in the last game, just nothing to follow up with. Bunnyhoppor, I think that the first game this deck showed, it had a very miserable opener with quite a reasonable pan out, but just not able to get the job done. So I'll be curious to see how that one goes. You know, if Jing has an opener like he had last game, but also has some gas to follow it up, I could put Bunnyhoppor in a pretty tough situation. You know, one of the things I always think about when I'm fighting against Token Druid are the tempo battles that can take place. There's no SI7 agent in Bunnyhoppor's deck.
Nope, but does have double Fan of Knives, which does help, at least against the early boards. Once the Force Aid comes down, all bets are off.
You keeping this Cable Rat? Second versus Token Druid? I don't know. That doesn't feel like a keep.
What are you looking for?
Miscreant?
It's pretty similar to Miscreant.
No, it's not.
It kind of is.
It's a 1-1.
True.
Second Fan of Knives. Edwin. Questing Adventurer.
Yeah, I'm throwing it.
Okay. If I was going first, I'd consider it a lot more.
You know what? I'm going even one step further than throwing it away. I'm going back to my collection. I'm taking it out.
Okay.
Can't do that.
Questing Adventurer.
Yep, Questing Adventurer. I talked about that a little bit earlier, but Questing Adventurer, in combination with, say, Backstab Prep Phantom Knives, is incredible.
Miscreant.
Got the Miscreant.
Bunnyhoppor's looking good in this one.
Looking pretty good, especially considering the hand from Jing, because Jing has the Acorn Bear, but nothing to really follow it up outside of the squirrels that it generates itself. It appears that whatever he does, by turn 4, he's going to be weak to Phantom Knives.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's kind of how these token decks live and die by times, is whether or not your opponent has an initial clear. Whispering Woods is a very powerful card when it goes unchecked, but when it goes checked, it's very different. And Jing's hand, once again, getting bogged down by cards that are just not suiting the purpose of getting minions in play. But there are a lot of those in the deck. There's a copy of Starfall, there's 2 Forest Aids, there's 2 Swipes, 2 Soul of the Forest, 2 Savage Roars, 2 Blessing of the Ancient, 2 Wrath. It's a lot of stuff that isn't payoff. You know, like, you talked about it. The players had 8 days to build 4 decks for the World Championship after a new set came out and a rotation took place. Your deck's not going to be perfect. But right now, I think the story for Jing's deck is that there are too many cards that don't put minions in play.
Yeah.
With the right draws, I think Jing is going to have a pretty high chance to have a buff card and punish you as a result. But with the wrong draws... That's a nightmare sight. If you're on Jing's side right now.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Not the best lackeys. But at this point, with the way Jing's hand is panning out, it's not going to make a difference. He's going to drop this Whispering Woods next turn, hoping that it sticks to be able to follow it up with Blessing of the Ancients. But it's just going to get Phantom Knives away, and he's going to be one sad, sad man.
I think you got to contemplate killing the Miscreant this turn, as awful as that sounds. Or you have to contemplate Savage Roaring here and going face, or using a Blessing in a weird way to try to make the kill on Bunnyhopper's side awkward. You have to spend some mana this turn on something other than a hero power, though. You cannot spend 4 mana on a hero power to expect to win this game.
I think the Savage Roar might be the play.
The reason I like the Twin Spell is because it keeps a card in your hand for Whispering Woods.
Well, by Savage Roar, you put 2 additional cards in your hand with the squirrels.
Yikes. For clarity, I was probably going face if I Savage Roar. But Bunnyhoppor now is in a fantastic spot.
I mean, right now, you're just questing Backstab. Force him to have removal for it.
I don't even know if you need the Backstab. I really... Like, 2/2 is the same thing as the other sizes right now. Because the only clear cards are Wrath and Swipe.
Well, he could Savage Roar.
Could Savage Roar. But if my opponent wants to Savage Roar that and I play Burglar into their 1/1...
Give me a quest.
I think it's enough.
Right, fair point. And the question is, does Jing swipe this? And I don't think you ever swipe this.
Or Savage Roar. I mean, either one of those is an acceptable form, but I just don't think you're going to win that way.
Yeah.
Now, the Whispering Woods on turn 5 does offer a greater potential power spike with if it doesn't get Phantom Knives'd away, you have double Savage Roar. But I think if the Whispering Woods sticks, you're going to win the game anyway.
All right, so let's think about it from Jing's perspective. So Bunnyhoppor kept 2 cards in the mulligan, both of which he has not played. He drew the Evil Miscreant off the top on turn 1 and coined it out on turn 2. You don't keep that many cards in this matchup.
I think you're hoping it's another Miscreant.
You're hoping it's another Miscreant, but...
It's not.
The benefit of this is that Jing knows that he's pretty likely to be able to swipe this next turn. Now, if Bunnyhoppor is a true madman genius, he backstabs one of the Wisps, then Fan of Knives, then plays a Lackey to bring that questing up to 5 to put it out of range of swipe. Can still Lackey plus backstab his Lackey.
I think in Bunnyhoppor's mind, if my opponent did not kill this Questing Adventurer, it's because they do not have Swipe.
I think if he backstabs that Lackey, that Questing Adventurer never dies.
You're correct. If Bunnyhoppor had played Backstab this turn, he would win this game. I think the Auctioneer draw may have kept him from using the Backstab.
The later this game goes, the bigger chance Bunnyhoppor has of losing.
Correct.
As soon as a Forest Aid comes down, all bets are off. You're probably not coming back from that. If you haven't developed a large enough board, which this deck does not do very well. He's played the one questing that he has in his deck. The only other real pressure cards that he has are Hench Clan Burglars and Edwin Van Cleef. That's it. I'm backstabbing something.
Pretty easy Burglar turn, I'd say.
I think this
Ooh, baited arrow.
Ooh.
Well, I'm taking that. Maybe the Frostbolt has merit just for damage from hand potential?
The way his hand is panning out, I don't know about that.
I think it's actually quite reasonable and quite good.
Yeah, he doesn't have much damage from hand at the moment.
Second swipe here, though. I mean, Bunnyhopper's accounting for this board to stick for a while. So second swipe in hero power cleans up the rest of this board.
Look at his hand. Oh my goodness.
Well, his turn 7 features landscape and blessing of the landscaping,
Squirrel.
squirrel, blessing of the ancients.
Yeah.
So something starts to happen there.
And then he gets to follow that up with blessing of the ancients, blessing of the ancients.
Yeah, this is very possible for Jing to get back into this one. If Bunnyhoppor just has a couple dead draws in a row here.
He has seen both swipes, so he can just play a Gadgetzan Auctioneer, and the only thing that kills it is the Wrath. So there's 2 copies.
Yeah, or a combination of some other cards. Like, it's pretty unlikely the Auctioneer dies in that spot. Oh boy, and now you could tell Bunnyhoppor is in a spot where he's not feeling the most comfortable. He's like, wow, really both of my boards got cleared? I didn't expect that. I like the Auctioneer play, though. It puts another test to Jing. However, the timing of the Auctioneer may be a little bit awkward. Jing is going into 7 mana, and so if they're going to Wrath, what are they going to do on 7 mana?
Yeah, I think maybe just Hedge Clan Burglar and get in a dagger. Next turn, you can follow up with Backstab, something he develops, Evil Miscreant, clean up the board with your spells.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. But Bunnyhoppor is just, I think, doing the possibilities. Like, could my opponent have just Wrathed instead of swiping at any point? Could they have done anything else? Is buying this time on the turn and going into Burglar and Miscreant enough?
Oh,
War Druid Loti
forgot about the
found.
War Druid Loti. That deals with it pretty darn well. He also gets to put some development behind it.
Power takes many.
I'm actually curious if you want to put development behind it. I guess because your draws could be so good. If you draw a Forest Sage, you're going to really having regret not played this.
Yeah.
And the fact that Jing plays the Squirrel, I think, masks a lot of that hand. The fact that he's willing to just give up the 1/1 in the face of a dagger up. Bunnyhopper's in trouble now, I think.
I don't know. He picks apart this board very easily. And then Jing has literally no development.
Jing has development draws, though. Bunnyhoppor does not.
It's a 1 in 10 to draw Forest Aid.
What does Bunnyhoppor draw that's good right now? A Togwaggle, an Auctioneer, that's it.
Yeah, but the thing is, he has Leroy, he has Eviscerate. If he sticks just 1 minion, he's just like a Shadow Step away from winning the game.
That's a true story. I mean,
and Jing, Whispering Woods is not very much development. Forest Aid is basically the only card in his deck that gives him substantial development. And that's a 1 in 10.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Not the Miscreant.
I want the Miscreant alive. Shadow Step. You said it yourself.
Yeah, but Shadow Step. Well, you get to double Twin Spell this.
Yeah, well, the problem is, look at Bunnyhopper's hand right now. He's going to start getting in damage and has double sap to just put 2/1/2 lifesteal minions back in your hand. Like Jing running into a turn. Evil Miscreant's good.
Oh, yeah?
The whole thing is summed up by the 1 card put 4 minions in play.
Oh, yeah?
That card is ridiculously good.
Now, sometimes it doesn't put 4 minions in play.
But sometimes it does.
Sometimes it just gives you discover a spell.
Oh, yeah. Who wants to do that in Rogue?
And only 2 minions in play.
Ooh, darn. Yeah, I mean, what else? What can you do?
Yeah. Smart by Jing to play both the original Twin Spell version of these Blessing of the Ancients in case he draws Whispering Woods.
Yeah, the hand information to Bunnyhoppor, I'd say, is close to irrelevant at this point.
Yeah.
But either way, this game is about to get blown out of the water. Bunnyhoppor secured a board. He's got a way to eliminate this and develop behind it. That's enough to win games.
Yeah, I think Sap, Eviscerate, Edwin.
I think just Sap, Edwin. What else? There's nothing else in the deck to Sap.
Sap, Edwin does set up for lethal, so yeah. Sap, Edwin, you push 6 damage this turn.
Belligerent Gnome, there's 1 taunt in the deck.
Yeah, so you put him down to 17. You have 12 damage on board plus
that's game.
A ton from hand.
I'm not seeing a single draw in Jing's deck that changes this.
Yeah, Token Druid's not going to get it done.
I mean, there's 13 from hand for Bunny with Leroy Eviscerate Frostbolt next turn.
Yeah, and he's likely to play a 6/6 Edwin this turn with 6 damage. 6 damage.
6 damage remaining.
I just almost died.
Was it because of the Eviscerate usage? You're like, torture! What is he doing? That's kind of what I was thinking.
A bug just literally flew into my mouth. He said, "Shut up, TJ."
Draws Whispering Woods. But that is a lot of Damahe still in hand.
What shall we hunt?
He did.
Dead indeed. Bunnyhoppor. 3 games to 2 over Jing is going to move out of the bracket and on to the top 8.
Token Druid not able to get it done. Worked well for him in the first series that he played in this group. But Jing gonna have to fight his way through the decider match if he wants to join Bunnyhoppor in that top 8.
Yeah, not out of the tournament just yet. Has 1 more match to still move on to the top 8, but it's win or lose at that point for Jing. There are no other directions it can go, and Bunnyhoppor once again proves why he is one of the, if not the, best in the world.
Moves his total playoffs and championship record this HCT season to 32-7. Nearly an 85% win rate in playoffs and championship matches for HCT this year. Just incredible.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah.
When I have that kind of record on ladder, I'm impressed. And it doesn't happen really.
No matter which way you slice it, that record in Hearthstone, no matter where you are,
pretty darn impressive.
It's pretty darn impressive. But there's the group breakdown thus far after 1 day of play for Group A. Bunnyhoppor, we're not going to see him again until Sunday because he's moving through to that quarterfinals. Woo. Jing, though, going to have to fight against the winner of Blood Trail versus Xiao T to see if he's going to be able to advance as the runner-up from group and make book himself a spot in the quarterfinals as well.
I'll tell you what, World Championships, this is one of my favorite times of the year because anytime you look at a bracket, you never expect players to be in the positions that they're in. These are players that we've watched all year long dominate the tournament circuit, and now they have to face off against each other. You know, some people are going to have to go 0-2. And when you look down at that elimination match there and see Xiao T versus Blood Trail, you think, oh my gosh, how did this happen? But that's the World Championships for you. There's nowhere you look, and there's a bad match.
Yeah, and another thing to quickly point out as we wrap up the series is Jing was looking for revenge in that matchup.
Yeah.
Because Bunnyhoppor was the player in the Winter Championship just a few months ago that knocked Jing out of the semifinals and denied him a chance at a finals appearance. So wasn't able to get it there. Maybe in the future of this tournament, but not in the cards for him today. But that's 5 matches in the books, which means on day 1 here at the HCT World Championship, we got 1 more to go. It's going to be the winner's match of Group B. But like I said, it's only day 1 at Ripple. 3 more days of Hearthstone action after that, so don't go anywhere. More HCT World Championship action right after this.